relaxed today, aren't we, Cody? You're ready for the camera shot? Yeah. 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 You're on your rug because you've been outside. Yeah. So, are we going to explain what we're doing? The film we're going to be doing? Oh, yes. Look at the camera. That's it. You look at the camera. See the lights blinking? Oh, yeah. Cody, come on. There's that good boy. Yeah. So, look at the camera. You're supposed to be the star of the show. Yeah, you're the star of the show. Hi, this is me with my sleepy star of the show, Cody. I've got down to his, he's woken up. I got down to his level for this vlog, which is number 13. And it is a trip down to Hastings from my sister's in Surrey. And it was taken in August of this year when I was over visiting my sister and my two sons. And this is a drive down to Hastings via the M25 and the A21, and a walk along the seafront from the last flat I used to own in Hastings to the pier, Hastings Pier, and partially return journey back to the flat where my car was. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to highlight there's about 3 or 4 properties, flats that I used to live in at various stages during 20 years that I was there. So I'll just circle those. They just happen to all be along the seafront. And the final place near the pier is a picture of a coffee shop. And unbeknown to me, when I first moved there, one of my ancestors, which I found on the genealogy site, moved from London into that property and turned it into a hairdresser's back in 1910. I've got a picture of it in the 1930s, which I'll show, of it still as a hairdresser's. Then it sort of deteriorated into a fish and chip shop. That was during the time that I lived along the seafront, and I noticed on this trip that it's now been turned into quite a nice looking coffee shop. Big improvement from the chip shop that it used to be. So hope you enjoy the video. It is literally just the seafront and the buildings behind it. So I'll say cheerio. Cody's going to say cheerio. He's gone to sleep. He's lost a bit of the star status. It's become a bit of a, yeah, you're coming bored with it now, aren't you? Might have to think about taking you off of the credits. What do you reckon? Yeah. So, yeah, he's gone back to sleep. I will edit the film now and put it up on the screen for you to have a look at. Yeah, having left my sister's now, I'm on the M25. It's about 30 miles before I turn off onto the A21. The road's pretty good today, pretty fast moving traffic, so not really too big a problem here. I've now come off the M25 and I'm on the A21 heading due south. This section's also around about 25 miles long, and as you can see, fairly light traffic for this time of the year. This is the start of my walk to the pier from outside my old flat, and I'm just swinging the camera around now 360 degrees so you can see the perspective that I used to have from the balcony. This area of St Leonard's was originally designed and built by James Burton, who was an architect from London and moved down here to develop this area, buying large parcels of land. And the building just coming into view now was his house that he built for himself, and it was called West Villa. When I lived there, it was a family club called the Tudor Rose, but that's since closed down and it's now been bought and has been converted back into a private residence. Here's another flat that I lived in. I'm just going to highlight it with a circle. Lived there in the late 1990s. Properties we're approaching now on the left hand side with the colonnaded footpath and balconies above were obviously once very elegant residences for the aristocracy, moneyed people who wanted a place by the sea, on the seafront. This property is one of Hastings' surviving large hotels called the Royal Victoria Hotel. It's now owned by Great Western Group. Coming into view now is another section of colonnaded footpaths and balconies above of what were once very elegant apartments for the more wealthy families either lived in Hastings or came down here for weekends from London. This very imposing building that's coming into view now was built to represent the look of a liner, and I think you can see, the decks and everything on it. It's called Marine Court and is actually a complex of flats and apartments. And I actually did live in one of the flats, which I will circle as we get towards it. I lived there for maybe 6 months, again back in the 1990s. Now that we've got closer to Marine Court, I think you can see how it was made to resemble a cruise liner. You can see the line of the decks. Very impressive building, which can be seen for several miles from the east and the west when you're walking along the coastline in those areas. I've highlighted my flat with a white rectangle just above the letter M on this view. Now this view gives a better impression of what the rear of a liner would look like. Here's another block of typical seaside, seafront townhouses, and again I lived in one of the flats. These are all flats now, and I lived in one of these flats in the 1990s, and I'll put a little white rectangle around it to just highlight it for you. This area here is known as Warrior Square Gardens. They are gardens formerly laid out with flower beds and lawns, and right in the front on the curbside there, you can just see coming into frame now is a memorial statue to Queen Victoria. Coming into view now is Hastings Pier, which is as far as I am going to walk this time, and we'll get a closer shot of it later. These are more typical townhouses along any seaside resort in England. The beach here is typical of this sort of area, the southern coast of England, and is very pebbly. Hastings Pier has only recently reopened to the public after being closed for many years after a devastating fire which made it unsafe for pedestrian access. Coming into the view now is the refurbished coffee shop that I mentioned earlier. I've highlighted it with a little rectangle. Then there's a hairdresser which was opened by one of my ancestors in 1910, and then more recently as a really run-down fish and chip shop. So the improvement is much better now. Well, that's the end of this short walk along Hastings seafront. I'm going to return back to my car now and head back to my sister's back in Surrey on 80 Mile Odd Drive. And if you like this video, please give it the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, press the subscribe button, it doesn't cost anything. And press the little bell icon if you want to see any more of my ramblings, if you want to be notified by YouTube. Thanks very much for watching, and take care out there. See you in the next one. Bye.